make sure it's just right. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. How are you? How are you today? Today is Sunday in Los Angeles. It's around 80 degrees outside. I haven't been outside yet, but after this live, I will go and exercise, inshallah. For those of you who, assalamu alaikum, for those of you who are new to the podcast and new to Men of Deen, Men of Deen is a marriage agency. I work to help practicing Muslim brothers find practicing Muslim wives. That's the simple mission. It's to build strong, Deen-focused Muslim families. Hey, greetings, brother. Greetings. Assalamu alaikum. And then this podcast, the Deen Diaries podcast, the mission here is also quite simple and connected to that. It's to help cultivate a sense of what it means to be a man of Deen. And for sisters, what are you to look for in a man, and how are you to look for your husband? Brothers, how are you to search for your wives, and what criteria to use? And so along those lines, the bulk of you are probably single. And as a single practicing Muslim, we've got a dilemma. And the dilemma is this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all his wisdom made us human. And as human, we have desires. And one of the strongest desires we have is aside from the desire to eat, is the desire to have sex. And it's a strong desire, and the strength of that desire cannot be understated. It's a driving it's driving you crazy. It's a driving desire, man. And it knows no abatement. And if it did know abatement, the world would not be at 8 billion people. And so that is the way it's supposed to be. At the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rules for us and how we are to conduct ourselves. And we're only allowed to have sex within the context of a nikah, of a marriage. And so therein lies the conundrum. You are prohibited from having sex outside of marriage, but you're not married. Yet and still you have an internal driving force to have sex. So what do you do? What do you do? And it's, subhanallah, because God created us in this situation. God in his wisdom created us with this inherent conundrum. Right? It's like God made all of creation and put the tree there and said to Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam, he said, you can eat from any tree, but not that tree. And God says, well, listen, here inside you is this natural urge to have sex. But you can't do it until you get married. He just made this natural conundrum. And so the challenge is for us who are practicing Muslims, who prioritize the Deen, who prioritize the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we manage this? How do we mitigate this challenge? And it's a challenge. It's a test. It is a test. And you either fail this test or you pass this test. And you'll pass this test when you control yourself. And you'll fail this test if you don't. I think that's pretty much it, right? And so it really boils down to how bad do you want to pass this test? And so there's ways to manage, and there's ideas out there. And so one of these ideas, Assalamu alaikum, sister. One of these ideas is something called a no strings nikah. And so, I want to talk about this. It's not something that it doesn't seem to be too widespread at this point. However, it is out there in the ethos. Assalamu alaikum, sister. It is out there. And so I wanted to speak on it. And I was kind of going back and forth before I decided to speak on it, because I don't necessarily want to promote the idea. But at the same time, it's out there and I want to get ahead of it. I had the same debate in my mind when a few years ago, about 4 years ago, when I talked to my children about the whole LGBT issue. On the one hand, their minds are free of this. They don't know anything of it. My home is protected. They have no idea about this stuff. It's not in their purview. It's just not in their world. And I didn't want to kind of pollute their minds even with the idea. But at the same time, I know that it's out there, and I know that it's going to become part of their purview. It's going to be in their face somehow or another, whether it's through friends at school or teacher at school or some random billboard they see somewhere. I knew that it's coming. And so in that context, I was like, well, it's better for me to get ahead of it and create and shape the narrative so that when they do hear about it, that it hits them in the right direction, in the right part of their consciousness. And so that's what this is. I'm trying to get out ahead of this because I think that it is something that is very detrimental to the ummah, this idea of a no strings nikah. And so for those of you who are not familiar with what a no strings nikah is, well, you know what no strings attached means, right? No strings attached sex is, basically sex without commitment, sex without emotional commitment, sex without relationship commitment. It's just like, hey, I have an urge, I want to have sex, and there's somebody who's willing to do it. Bada bing, bada bang. Bada bing, bada bang. You have sex, and then you see the person later, or you never see them again. That's the idea of no strings. And so if you couple that with the idea of nikah, which really actually makes no sense whatsoever. But anyway, this is where we are. Because nikah is the ultimate commitment. It's the epitome of a lifelong commitment, and this is an intentional commitment. So they're completely incompatible ideas, but in any case, this idea is out there. This idea was, it's been around for a while, but it's being brought back and popularized by a brother, and I just stumbled across his podcast over the weekend, and so I don't really know much about him, but what I have seen, the brother looks like he's a good brother. I mean, I've heard him speaking on quite a number of issues, and I wanted to kind of understand what his frame of reference was, and he seems like he's a well-intentioned brother, so this is by no means an attack on him or a slight to the work that he's doing. I mean, on the other hand, I encourage the work that he's doing, and a lot of his perspectives are right on point. Having said that, this concept of a no strings nikah, I believe, is quite damaging. And listen, man, nobody's perfect, and so and we're all passing through different stages in this life. And so, you pass through a certain phase, and then once you get past that phase, and then you look back at the phase, and you're like, man, how could I have done that? How could I be thinking that way? This is probably one of those things for that brother. But subhanAllah, he's doing what he knows best, and he sees a problem, and the problem is real. The problem is very real, and he's trying to propose a solution for that problem. Simply, I don't think he's thinking too far ahead, and I think that's the primary issue with this as a solution. So let's get into it. I will read you from what the rules of this no-string nikah are, so we're on the same page as to what all this means. Okay, so there's 3 categories for this no strings nikah. Okay, the first category, the first option is all of the strings, which is basically just nikah. So there's a menu here, and on the menu you can choose one of 3 topics. Okay, so you can join this this Telegram group, and soon to be an app. And then there's 3 options, and then you just put which option that you're interested in, and then apparently he'll connect people who have interest in the same option. Okay, so the first option is I'm interested in all strings. I'm looking for a conventional marriage. Okay, no problem. Number 2 is I'm looking for some of the strings, which is a negotiated nikah contract. Now I'm not really going to get into what that is. That's that's detail for a different day, and it's not really my platform, so I don't necessarily know what it is. But obviously, it's not the whole shebang. It's not it's not a real nikah. It's not complete commitment as in marriage, but it's some version of that. Okay, and then the third option, and this is really what I'm going to speak on, is none of the strings, and it says intimacy alone, so just sex. Okay, so how does that work? How would that work? Now, there's a couple of perspectives on this. There is the male perspective, and there is the female perspective. And these 2 perspectives are very different. Okay, so let me approach this first from the male perspective. Okay, since I'm a man, it comes quite intuitive to me. And and even within these different perspectives, there's levels of consciousness. And again, we're going through this life at different stages, and so depending on your stage and your level of consciousness, deeper levels of consciousness might not even occur to you. And so that's why I'm putting this out there, because whether or not these different levels of consciousness will occur to you or not, you're still going to deal with the ramifications on your soul. You're still going to deal with the ramifications on your spirit. You're still going to deal with the physical ramifications of the decisions that you make, regardless of where it hits you in your consciousness. And so, this is why, this is exactly why the Quran exists. It's to give us knowledge, because even if you don't understand something or it doesn't hit your consciousness a certain way, you still have the knowledge. And so you can still make the best decision for your life in every aspect of your life, even if you don't understand the ins and outs and the whys of what needs to be done. You've got a directive as to what to do. And so in that context, that's why I'm speaking, because I want to make sure that before brothers and sisters are making decisions to enter into this type of arrangement, that you have the information that you need. And so, okay, so I'm a guy and I'm single, and I've got sperm building up in me, and I've got this urge to have sex. Okay, now keep in mind that sex is an urge; it's a desire. It's not a need. Okay, i.e., if you don't have sex, you're going to die. That's not what sex is. We like to act like it's a need. Air is a need, because if you don't have air, if you stop breathing, you will die. Okay, if you stop eating, or if you stop drinking, actually, you will die. All right. So sex is not like that. It's a strong urge, and it's a physical, emotional, spiritual need. But if you don't have sex, you won't die without it. So let's be honest and let's be clear about that. That said, it's a strong, super strong, super strong urge. And so what do? I'm looking for a wife. I'm not married. It's Tuesday night, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, like time is moving, and I just, I gotta release this. What do? Okay, so I go onto this app and I'm thinking, okay, no strings nikah. Okay, I just want to have sex. Oh, look, there's a sister right there. She's in my area. She wants a no strings nikah too. Okay, so let me connect with this sister. Hey, sister, hey, I'm looking for a no strings nikah. I live right up the street. You wanna do this? And she, okay, yeah, let's meet for coffee. Go meet for coffee. She's, oh, mashallah, she's so cute. I'm a good looking guy. And so then we run to the masjid, or like, I don't understand how it works. I guess she talks to her wali. She talks to her dad and says, hey, dad. Okay, anyhow, assuming that this somehow makes sense, right? So she gets the okay from the wali. And then I guess you run down to the masjid and get a nikah. And then you go to his place and then you have sex. Or you go to her place and you have sex. Or you sit down and negotiate. Okay, every Monday and every Friday or every Saturday, whatever, we're going to have sex a few times a week. And then that's what you do. Okay, so it's assuming that you can deal with that emotionally, that you can just be that intimate with somebody on a regular basis and not care for them. That doesn't work. Actually that doesn't work. And the reason why this doesn't work, and again, I'm talking to you as a practicing Muslim, okay? And if your deen is, because on the surface it covers you, right? On the surface, you had your nikah and you're covered. It's halal, right? But what's the intention? What is the intention? And it's the intention, it's our intention that matters. You can't fool God, right? You cannot fool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the purpose of marriage is not to have sex. Okay? Well, let's look at this. The purpose of marriage. Let's look at this. Right? Because your intention is what matters. Okay, so this is Quran verse 30, ayat 21. Okay, I'm not gonna do a whole dissertation on marriage. I'm just gonna read this one surah. It's deep. Here we go. And among his signs. And among his signs is this, that he created for you mates from among yourselves. Okay, a mate. Okay, that word, mate. Okay, so what is a mate? Is a mate a temporary arrangement, or is it a long-term arrangement? Okay? We know the answer. A mate is a long-term arrangement. So he created for you a mate. Okay? So here we go. That you may dwell in peace and tranquility with them. Okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say so that you can visit them every Friday and Saturday. You are to be dwelling together. Okay? This is a mate that you're looking for, so that you can dwell together with them. And he has put love and mercy between your hearts. Verily, in that are signs for those who reflect. Okay, so, my dear brothers and sisters, are you Muslims that reflect? Is this what you strive to be, or do you strive to be a human being that just doesn't reflect? Now, either way, there's you're going to have to deal with the consequences. If you say, well, I don't want to reflect because if I reflect, I'll have to deal with the real issue, and I don't want to deal with the reality. But you're going to deal with the reality on the day of judgment, all right? So that doesn't change, but simply in this lifetime, are you striving to be a human being that reflects? Right? Because in this are signs for those who reflect. Because the reflection is that marriage is for us to dwell together. Why? So that we can dwell in peace and tranquility. and you can have love and mercy between you and your spouse. This is the Quran. This is your creator. This is our creator telling us what marriage is for and what we're supposed to feel in marriage, what the goal is of marriage. It doesn't say sex. Sex is a byproduct of this loving relationship. And this is what we're striving for as practicing Muslims. This is what, it's not even as, this is just what all, people, they're looking for this, love and mercy and peace and tranquility. This is what we strive for as human beings. And when you're looking for your spouse, of course, this is what you want. And so this whole thing about, gotta get laid, just need to have sex now. This is the lowest form of our existence. This is when you are not of those who reflect. This is how you think when you don't reflect. It's like, man, I just need to bust a nut, or I just need somebody to have sex with me. This is us acting as animals. And we're not animals. God created us with a consciousness and a mind and the ability to reason and reflect and understand. And so when you're roaming the streets looking for sex, and in order to make your sex halal, you're going to get a nikah. This is not the right intention. This is a wrong intention. So that's the first level. It's just it's not the intention by which we're supposed to be entering into something as serious of a commitment as a nikah. Okay, so that's the one level. Okay, but let's take it to the next level, and then let's also switch perspectives to that of a sister. And I'm switching at this point because although it has a similar effect on both brothers and sisters, spiritually and emotionally, it's much more damaging to sisters who engage in this type of arrangement. And for those who are just joining, Assalamu alaikum, sister. For those who are just joining, we're talking about the idea of a no-strings nikah. Okay, so let's say I'm a sister, and I'm single, and I have needs. I need affection, and I want sex. I just need it and I want it, and I'm trying to cope with this. And so I venture into this idea of a no-strings nikah. I find a brother who's willing to have sex with me, and he's a Muslim brother, and he's practicing, and so he wants to also have sex, and so we enter into this no-strings nikah. So think about this, sisters. You make a deal with this guy. Say, okay, so we make a nikah. We're now married, but just for the sake of having sex, so that we have sex in a halal way. And so every Monday, maybe every Saturday, every Friday, we're meeting for sex, or something along those lines. Now the reality is this: is that as a man, okay, I'll tell you, I can have sex without an emotional attachment. I can have sex repeatedly without developing an emotional attachment. Although I do tend towards it, okay, if I want to not deal with it, like I can just not deal with it. I can do that. And it damages my soul, but it doesn't hurt my emotions. To not be like, okay, hey, cool, I'm just, if you look at how men are anatomically designed, right? In order to have sex, all we have to do is open our zippers, and and we can be in and we can be out, like just like that. I mean, this is what it is. But for sisters, you can't do that, and so if you look at the anatomical differences in how we engage in sex, it says a lot about how sex also impacts our emotions and our spirit, because it's a much more complex thing for a sister to have sex. You can't just, have sex and move on. I mean, because, your entire legs have to open. So this means that you have to remove clothes for this to happen. It's simply anatomically much more complex, and emotionally and spiritually, it's also much more complex for you to just have sex and move on. This is not what it is. And many sisters try to fool themselves to think that they can have sex like a man and have the emotional reaction of a man, but you can't. And eventually, you even if you fool yourself for a moment or for a few moments, the reality is going to hit you spiritually and emotionally, and you can't avoid this. You can think that you can, but you're going to deal with the repercussions whether you deal with your reality in the moment or not. Okay? And so, but think about it practically. I mean, you make an arrangement with this brother, and he's coming by twice a week just to satisfy your sexual needs and you his. And you make a deal, and that's the arrangement. And so think about it. On Monday, he comes by. You guys have sex. Okay, and you're looking into his eyes and you're communicating with each other during this process. And then afterwards, you finish having sex. Now, if you're doing this thing right, as soon as sex is done, he's out and you're done. You're like, hey, well, thank you very much. I guess you shake hands. I don't know. If you're doing this thing wrong, then you're going to want to be held afterwards. Okay? Women want to be held after sex. There's not a woman alive there's not a healthy woman alive who, after having sex with a man, will hop out of bed, put on her clothes, and leave. Or say, okay, thanks very much, put on your clothes, we're done. Like, no woman wants this. Every woman, after sex, wants to be held. And the being, even if it's just a one-night stand, it's the illusion that the person who just engaged in this, what really is a spiritual act, somehow cares for you, even if you know that they don't. You just want to be held. Just hold me for a little while. Now, but therein lies the problem, because when you give yourself to a man in this way, for sisters, it's not physical. It's emotional and it's spiritually opening yourselves, opening your heart to somebody else. And again, you can fool yourself for the interim, but you're going to pay the price later because you are what you are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designed us a certain way. And so you do it Monday, 2 hours, great sex. And after he leaves, you kind of linger in it for me. Like, wow, that was really great. That was so wonderful, subhanAllah. Plus it's halal. He's my husband. He rolls back around on Friday. Ding dong, woohoo. And you're excited, right? You're excited because that feeling that you were craving, it's going to happen again, right? And so that's 1 week is done. And then another week rolls around, and it's another 2 hours, and the more but again, during this process, you're communicating, you're exchanging breath, you're exchanging fluids, you're looking into his eyes, he's looking into your eyes, and this is just 2 weeks, and the more you do this, is the more you're going to develop an attachment, an emotional attachment to this brother. This is how we are designed. But more specifically, this is how a woman is designed. Men, we develop emotional attachments as well, but it's simply not as profound, and it's not as quick, and it's not as, sticky, or I don't know what the word is, but it's, for sisters, it's like you're sealing yourself with this brother. And this the more you engage in sex with this brother is the more you're going to feel this attachment, this emotional bond, this spiritual bond that you're forming with this brother, So a month passes and he's just having sex and leaving and having sex and leaving. You're going, hey, maybe you want to have some coffee, you want to have you want to have a drink afterwards, and then maybe you want to get some dessert, or let's go get something to eat. you're going to start spending time together, or you're going to want to start spending time. And let's say he obliges, okay, yeah, sister, let's go have dinner. Alhamdulillah, no problem, because he's cool, right? I mean, you're having sex together, and it's because obviously there's a certain level of attraction and you like each other. And so you probably have dinner, maybe then you go to the movies, and then guess what happens? You start to attach to this brother. Now keep in mind, you guys had a deal, and the deal was like it's only sex. So in his mind, he's like, yeah, we can have dinner, but that don't mean that we're doing anything. We had agreement. The agreement was sex, and he's detached because as a man, he didn't quit it, zip it up, and we're on, right? But you're getting attached, and this is inevitable. This is completely inevitable. And so, what after 3 months, you're sitting down and you're having dinner. Maybe after you're having sex, he's holding you for a little while, and you're snuggling up next to him because you will. I mean, if he's holding you, you're not going to be lying there like you're gonna rest in that feeling of affection and protection, and you're gonna say, hey, we've been doing this for a while, and I like you, and he's like, yeah, sister, alhamdulillah, I like you too, Yeah, but to this different level, man. He says like, yeah, we're cool. And you're going to say, well, what do you think about, having a real relationship, a real marriage? And that's when he's going to stop. And you're going to hear an awed silence. And you're going to realize that you said the wrong thing. And maybe he's going to move his arm from around you. And he's going to say, sister, I thought we had a deal. I mean, we just having sex, right? I mean, right? And then you're going to be embarrassed, and you'll be like, oh yeah. No, I just sorry, forget it. But it's too late. It's too late because the brother realizes that you're attaching, and that's exactly what he was trying to avoid with this whole no strings nikah arrangement. He was trying to avoid commitment and attachment. And here you are attaching and wanting to get commitment. And so he has to make a decision. Either he's going to, because he the cat's out of the bag now. He knows what you want, and he knows that you can't not want it. So he has to decide whether he's going to continue with this no strings nikah arrangement, or he's just going to cut and run. No strings, right? Nothing to cut. So what does the brother do? He's like, sister, listen, I appreciate you. I'm so glad that we got to share this time together. I like you a lot, but I'm not going in that direction. And he's going to hit you with your 3 talaqs. And he's out. He's out. That's it. So the Band-Aid is over. What are you going to do? So you had sex with this brother for a few months. And you got the satisfaction and the emotional fulfillment and the security and whatever it is you're looking for these few months. But now it's over and you're left. You will crash. Emotionally, you will crash. You will wind up with your face in your hands and a handful of tears. And you're going to look to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking God why. And he's going to look back at you and be like, what? I done told you what to do. Don't cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is something that we are creating. Okay. And then but fine. Back to the practical reality. So then what do you do? So you're single again, and you've got this itch that needs to be scratched. This need that was there before, that's still there. So what do? Do you jump back on the app as a sister and find another no strings nikah? Like, when does this end? When does this end? Because every brother is going to, unless you hit the lotto, and this is a gamble, okay? This is a straight gamble, that you start a relationship with somebody, with a man, based on sex, and that's going to parlay into something that is real, long-term, and lifetime. That's going to result in a family, whether it's a family of 2 or a family of 3 or a family of 4. That's something that starts as something very superficial and shallow. is going to progress from this shallowness to the deepest possible commitment. What do you think are the chances of that happening? 1 in 1,000? 1 in 10,000? 1 in a million? That, very, very, very slim. Very slim. That's like, that's like a brother meeting with a prostitute and liking the prostitute and then hoping that he's going to make her a wife type of thing. This doesn't happen. There was a movie called Pretty Woman a few years ago that, and this doesn't happen. You guys are getting together for sex and sex only. And this is what a brother wants. This is what a brother is there for, because you got 3 other options, right? So if you want anything more, you can agree to that. But this brother's coming in saying, nah, I just want sex. And if that's what the brother wants, that's all that he's there for, and it's not going to change. But that's not what sisters are there for, because a woman wants some security from this man. And the security is not the sex. The security is the presence. The security is the emotional support. That's what women are there for. And so you guys are there for completely different reasons, even though you're telling him that it's just sex, even though you're telling yourself that it's just sex. It was never just sex, and it's never going to be just sex. And the more you engage is the more you attach. And the more you attach and the quicker you attach is the sooner this brother's out. And the sooner he's out is the sooner you're left with an even more broken spirit, an even more broken soul. And in addition to that, if you're practicing, there's the guilt that you feel for doing what you did. And you will feel guilt because you can't escape your own intentions. You cannot escape your consciousness. And so you're going to feel this guilt, but you're going to have this need, and maybe you'll roll back into it. But think about this now. Now you've got a marriage and a divorce on you. Okay, both the sister and the brother. When does this stop? So do you go into another no strings nikah, and then maybe it runs its course for 6 months, maybe it runs its course for a year, but then you attach and then he runs. Now you've got 2 marriages and 2 divorces, and then when does it stop? And let's say at some point you do meet a brother that's a good brother, he's a solid brother. And you like this brother, and this brother likes you. And then you start to talk, and then you say, well, listen, brother, I've been married and divorced twice. And he asks you, well, tell me about your marriages and your ex-husbands. What are you going to say? Well, we were married, but it was just for sex. And so my first marriage was about 3 months, and come on now. Come on now. This is not a real thing. This no strings nikah. This is not a real thing. This is a band-aid at best. And it's a band-aid that when you rip off, like when you get a cut, and sometimes the band-aid, so the cut scabs over underneath the band-aid. And then when you rip off the Band-Aid, it rips off the scab with the Band-Aid, and then it's just a new open wound. Has that happened to you? Yeah, that's what this is. It's not going to fix the cut. When you rip off this relationship, it's going to be bleeding more than it was before, because it hasn't healed, and you've aggravated the cut again by ripping off the Band-Aid. And so what do? Put on another Band-Aid? Guess what? Same thing's going to happen. Same thing is going to happen. And it's going to happen over and over again. And so what are you going to do? You're going to wind up with six marriages and 6 divorces? You're going to keep this going until you die? Think about this. Think about this. Really think about this before you enter into this. It's not going to work. And it's especially going to be devastating for sisters. It's going to be emotionally devastating and emotionally crippling. And on a long-term basis, it's going to. Hey, sweetheart, don't call me. I'm on a live right now. But you can send me a message, inshallah. Um, and so for brothers, it's similar. It's not as deep, but it's similar because what does it do to you? Think about this. So you've gone in and out with, I don't know, 4 or 5 different girls. I mean, and hey, like on the surface, this is a great arrangement, right? Because as Muslim men, we can have up to 4 wives, right? So you can have up to 4 no strings nikah, and you can get them all on a rotation because maybe one sister's on her period, so you can't have sex with her because again the whole reason is sex, right? So you can't have sex with her. She's on her period, no problem. I get another no strings nikah wife. It's crazy. And so you can time their periods so that you can have a constant access to sex. Like, listen, brothers, this is wrong because what this is. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Sweetheart, please don't call. I'm on a live. That's my wife calling. Let me go turn this off for 1 second. Okay. Hello, I'm back. So what this is at its level is it's the objectification of a woman. Okay, it is reducing a woman to her parts. At the heart, this is what this is, and this is a sickness that we have in this world. It's not just reduced to Western society at all. Okay, it's the way young boys are cultivated in the world, and it's wrong, to look at a woman and reduce her to her parts as if her vagina is just something for you to use, and the rest of her doesn't matter. That's what it is. I need to have sex. I need someone to have sex with. I don't want to have a relationship with the person, with the human being, but I want to use her to satisfy my needs. That's what this is. And that person that you're using to satisfy your needs happens to be your sister in Islam? How does that work? Assalamu alaikum, sweetheart. Like, how does that work? That you are a practicing Muslim, and this is our ummah, okay? And this is your sister in Islam. And men are the protectors of women, okay? Now, I forget what surah this is, but think about that. Now, the surah says, and I remember this because it struck me. It struck me because the first part of the surah says that men are the protectors of women. But then it goes on to say that wives must be obedient to their husbands. It doesn't say that women must be obedient to men. It says that wives are obedient, what's the word? Righteous. Right, righteous wives are obedient to their husbands. But when it talks about the husbands, it doesn't even say husbands. It says men are the protectors of women. So we are to protect all women, not just our wives. Okay, so if men are the protectors of women, then how is it that you can take a whole woman, reduce her to her private parts, and use her for your personal physical satisfaction? Somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, somebody's future mother, reduce her to her private parts, satisfy your needs, and when she wants commitment from you, you leave her broken? How does that work? As a practicing Muslim, which is what we are, or what you're striving to be, brother, how does that work? Don't get all distracted. Don't divert your eyes. Just answer that question in good conscience and good faith. How does that work? It doesn't work. It does not work. Okay? Al-Nisa, right. Yeah, right. This is that's Surah Al-Nisa. Thank you, Sister Victoria. That's verse 4, ayat 34. Men are the protectors of women. It doesn't work, brothers. Okay? Now we've got our needs, but there's right and there's wrong. You know, and you can fake it. Yeah, let's get a nikah. But your intention is what matters. And you're going in there with the intention to use this sister, to use her body, to objectify her for your physical pleasure. And that's not right. That is wrong. Unequivocally, without a doubt, without a hesitation, this is no way to treat your sister. And so the only alternative to that, I don't know, it's not that it's right, but then you don't treat, because you can't treat your sister this way. So then you have to treat a non-sister. You have to then go and fornicate with a non-Muslim woman. Because at least then you're not, denigrating your sister. Like there is no solution that works in having some random illicit sex. And that's just the reality. So this no strings nikah, it's not going to work, and on top of that, on top of the fact that you're denigrating your sister in Islam, in that process, you denigrate yourself. You denigrate yourself. But I think, most brothers can deal with that self-denigration. You can be like, yeah. But this is the reality, is that you can't denigrate her without denigrating yourself. Okay? But the other part is this, is that, having just gone through so many women, how does that affect your perception of women? When it's damaging you too. Don't worry, it's damaging you too. It has a profound, deep, scarring effect on women, but it's damaging you too. And it's damaging your perception of women. And you think that, when you do find that sister, and you will likely find a sister that you would like to marry one day, inshallah, you think that the damage that you've done to yourself is not going to come out in the marriage. That doesn't work either. You're damaging yourself emotionally. And that's going to come out in your relationship. Now you've found a woman that you want to spend the rest of your life with. You want to make a real nikah. But hold on a second. Wait a second. Let's pause, right? Because now, how many times have you been married, brother? I mean, you finally meet a sister that you think is worth marrying, and you would like to spend the rest of your life with this sister. Assalamu alaikum. You'd like to spend the rest of your life with this sister, but you've been into no strings nikah. What? 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times, who knows? She's going to ask you, well, have you been married before? And you'll have to say, well, yes, I've been married around 6 times. 6 times? 4 times? You've been married 4 times? Why were you married so many times? Well, sister, I mean, they were nikah, but, since I was single and I wanted to have sex, and so I found a sister who I wanted to have sex with, and we made a nikah so we could have halal sex. But then she started to get attached to me, so then that's when I got my divorce from her. But I still wanted to have sex, so I found another sister who wanted to have sex, and we got nikah. Like, this isn't going to work, brothers. When you do find that sister who you feel is your potential wife, potential mother to your children, and she's decent, and she's solid, and she's practicing, and she's all this, and she's all that, and you're going to sit in front of her and tell her that you've been married 3 or 4 times, and or 4 or 5 and 6 times, and the reason that you were married is so that you could have halal sex, and so you had sex until she wanted to attach, and then you ran? Brothers, it doesn't work for you either. It does not work. And that's at the deepest level. So we've gone to the very superficial level of this, and it doesn't work. We've looked at the deep level, the spiritual level, the impact on your soul, and then, we haven't even talked about the day of judgment. We haven't even talked about your creator standing in front of your creator, and, the parts of your body speaking and testifying to the life that you lived and what you did and why you did it, while you can't even remember. You can't even remember what you did. It talks about, I think the surah talks about your hands and feet speaking, but I will presume that the other parts of your body will speak as well, and your mind is going to speak, and your penis is going to speak, and it's going to talk to your creator and say, well, listen, when he married this sister, he had no intention of being a husband to her. He just wanted to satisfy his needs. You willing to stand in front of your creator and say that? Sisters, are you willing to stand in front of your creator who has told you the purpose of marriage, who has told you that you're supposed to look for love and rahmah and peace and tranquility with your spouse, whom you dwell with? It's right there in the Quran. It's right there in the Quran. So you know what it is. But yet and still, you decided to enter into nikah for the purpose of sex. And you're going to stand in front of your creator. That you denigrated his nikah this way. Are you prepared to do that? Brothers, sisters, are you prepared to do that? I mean, there's at every level it's wrong. And at every level it's damaging. And subhanAllah, the rules that God makes for us are not for him. They're for us. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in his wisdom, don't have illicit sex, find a spouse and get married for these reasons, it's better for us. Don't have illicit sex. And don't denigrate the institution. Not even institution. Don't denigrate the bond of nikah by using it for sex and sex only. It's going to hurt you in the process, and it's going to hurt your entire life in the process. You will eliminate your prospect for a healthy marriage, because there's no practicing healthy Muslim who's going to get married to somebody who used nikah in this way, who used a sister in this, or sisters in this way. And ain't no brother gonna marry a sister who used brothers in this way, who had 4 or 5 marriages with brothers just because she wanted to have sex. Like, alarm bells going off all over the place. It's like, that is a no, because this is a sister who is out of control. There's no way any dude is gonna marry a woman who had 3, 4, 5 marriages just so that she could have sex. May Allah protect and guide us all. I mean, this notion is and will be catastrophic if it becomes mainstream. I mean, yeah, it will be. It will be. And so, sisters, man, this is especially because the thing is, somehow, in the ethos, it's been accepted that men can kind of, we can kind of play around, and we've got this time to kind of sow our royal oats and and so if a brother comes to a sister and says, well, sister, there was a time when I was out there and I was doing this and I was doing that, but now I'm on my deen, a sister can accept that. And even her father, if he explained, he'll like, yeah, well, I had my time too, bro, so I know what it is, but now somehow it's acceptable for men, even though it's not acceptable, okay? But somehow society is accepting of this behavior of men, even though it's wrong. Okay, but if a brother sits in front of a sister, yeah, may Allah protect us all. I mean, if a brother comes across a sister who has had this, 4 or 5, 3, even 2, 3 nikahs, 4 nikahs for the sake of sex, there ain't no way he's going to marry her. And if he does marry her, this is not a man who's on his deen. So you're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel, or you're just going to come up empty. Okay, so there's another level. And this is particularly for the sisters. Okay, so let me, this is at the biological level. There's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us these rules. And, many of the rules that I follow, I don't know the reasons for them. Okay. I just kind of follow because that's what God said. And many times, that's most of the time, 99% of the time, that's good enough for me. Like, I don't need to understand. Sometimes I don't even want to understand. Like why I can't eat pig. I don't know. I don't know why I can't eat pig. I don't know. It's pig, cow, chicken, just eat them. I don't know. God says no, okay. Or can't take a loan. Can't have interest. I don't know why interest isn't good. I don't know why. I don't need to know. God says no. Alcohol, same. Do it, okay. Whatever. Why is too much for me? Okay. But just in case why is necessary for some of you sisters in this case. Okay. So this is an article called, so you can look this up. Okay. It's an article that's entitled "Semen Can Literally Control the Female Brain." Okay. And this is written by Lindy West. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read parts of some articles, okay? So it says, researchers have identified a protein present in all mammalian semen. Camels, weasels, bats, bunnies, piglets, horses, whales, and humans. All mammals. That directly affects the female brain and stimulates ovulation. It is called nerve growth factor, or NGF, and it's typically found in nerve cells where it regulates nerve maintenance. Okay, here's another article. Now this is actually more of a this is a scientific article. This is from ScienceDaily.com, and it's called "Sex and the Female Brain. Protein semen acts on female brain to prompt ovulation." From the results of our research, we know that these glands produce large amounts of protein that has a direct effect on the female, says Adam, a professor of medicine and science at the Western College of Medicine. Okay, so again, this is it's a long article, but to our surprise, it turns out that it goes in depth about how semen controls ovulation and actually goes to the human brain of a female. Okay, it actually goes past the blood-brain barrier. This is deep stuff. Here's another article. It's called "Semen Has Controlling Power Over Female Genes and Behavior." This is in newscientist.com, written by Michael LePage in 2015. There is more to sperm than semen than sperm. In many animals, seminal fluid alerts both the bodies and sometimes even the behavior, or alters both the bodies and sometimes the behavior of females. Human semen too triggers changes in the uterus and might have a wider effects on women, aimed at just one goal. And so I'm not going to read the articles. This is, you can look it up, okay? That's at the biological level. Because listen, what is a brother's coming inside you. What is sperm? What is semen? This is his DNA. And once this DNA is inside you, it doesn't leave. It doesn't leave. Okay, here's another article. The long-term psychological. Okay, so now we're going from biology to psychological. The long-term psychological effects of having multiple sex partners. Hold on a second. And so this article. Okay, so this article is about the link between alcohol and drug dependence and frequent sex with multiple partners. And it basically says that it's stronger on women than on men. Okay, so although women and men are developing similar patterns of sexual behavior and substance abuse, particularly in this cohort, the links were stronger for women. Okay, so for women, having multiple sex partners still may go against what they regard as socially acceptable, and they might be able to cope with the feelings of shame and embarrassment by turning to drugs and alcohol. Okay, and this pattern is more profound in women than in men. Okay, so on the one hand, you've got the fact that by having men ejaculate inside you, multiple men, you're actually getting the DNA of different men inside you, and that DNA goes to your brain. Okay, number one, like, that's disgusting. It's filthy, is what it is, and it's crazy to subject yourself to that. Okay, then there's the psychological effects and the fact that this could lead you down a path that you never thought that you would go. And it makes sense if you think about going from one guy, nikah, talak, and what that's going to do to you, your mind, your consciousness, your everything, and your prospects of marriage in the future. Like, so, this isn't going to work, brothers and sisters, and hopefully I've covered enough ground that will cause you, at the very least, to think about what you're doing, the long-term, the mid-term, even the short-term ramifications of making a decision to enter into what they're calling a no-strings nikah. Please, don't do it, and not really to spread, my podcast or my IG live, but really just to get this word out there, because it sounds cool on the surface. It really does. Even the phrase, no strings nikah, the NIN. Like, we're living in a world. We're living in a branded world, and people buy into brands and buy into services and stuff because it's cool and it sounds good and it looks good and like, just because of the appearance of it. We're living in a very superficial time, without taking the time to look underneath the cover. And so what I'm trying to do with this podcast, or with this episode of my live, is just open the cover before brothers and sisters, but particularly sisters, get trapped in this. And I say particularly sisters because I'm a man, and as a man, I'm the protector of women. That's my job. I've got a daughter. I've got sisters. I need to protect. I need to protect the women, and I need to protect the sisters in my life. And brothers, you have no less of an obligation. You can't protect somebody and exploit them at the same time. So I think that's all that I have to say on this topic. If anyone would like to call in, if anybody has anything to add, or any different perspective, I would be Wait. Do I need to do something here? I don't think there's anything I need to do. I think you can just join if you want to join, right? Yeah, but please do not really do me a favor. Do your sisters in Islam a favor, and your brothers as well. Forward this out to them so that they can forward this out to their other single friends. And okay, so wait, no, I'm not done. Wait a second. And so wait, because the brother who put this out there, his intention was to try and find a solution, a halal solution for Muslims who are facing this conundrum of being single, needing to have sex, wanting to have sex. And so this was his idea. And I believe he put it out there with the best intention. But, we all miss things sometimes. Alhamdulillah, we're not perfect. And so no blame on that brother. I think his intention is a good one. But at the same time, so he identified a solution. So what I've effectively done is I've said, well, listen, that's not going to work. But then the question is, well, then, because the problem isn't solved, right? I mean, you still got a bunch of single Muslims out there trying to do the right thing, having to deal with their sexual desires and not knowing what to do. And so, what to do? All right. Okay, so here we go. Here's what to do. Because listen, many times we create our own problems. Not many times, all of the time. It's not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that creates the problems because He gave us the solution. We just refusing to use the solution that He gave to us. Okay, so let's go to stage one of the solution. Okay, so you're a man, you're sitting there, you've got an urge, you want to go out, you want to have sex, sperm is building up, you're drinking lots of water, it's building up. What do? Okay, so here we go. This is a hadith. And it is Al-Bukhaari. Okay, wait a minute. Yes. Okay, so this is hadith. This is Al-Bukhaari. And it reads as follows. This is Al-Bukhaari 4778. O young men, whoever among you can afford to get married, let him do so. And whoever cannot afford it, let him fast. For that will be a shield for him. There it is. I mean, that's not everything. Okay, because it's a shield. Okay, so a shield protects you. It doesn't eliminate the desire. It doesn't eliminate the desire, but it protects you from that desire. It reduces the desire. And for those of you brothers who off the cuff be like, oh yeah, I need to have sex fast. Yeah, right, whatever. Like, hold on. Okay, pause for 1 second. This is your creator. The one who created us, the designer, the engineer who created us, instructing us how to abate this desire that He put inside us. And He said to fast. So you cannot dismiss it. You cannot say, well, it's not going to work unless you just don't want it to work. So before you even venture into the realm of trying to find, a way to have sex and not have haram sex, before you even get there, you have to wind up here. And if you didn't know, now you know. You can look it up, okay? This is Al-Bukhaari, Bukhaari 4778. That's the hadith. This is your creator then, giving you a solution to the conundrum that He's placed us in. Subhanallah. Fast. Okay, so you can't dismiss it. How many of you have tried it? How many of you have actually tried to fast? I don't mean fasting for one day. I'm talking about creating a pattern of fasting in your life. Okay? I mean, I fast every Monday and every Thursday. This is what is recommended, or I don't know what the term is. It's optional fasting, but I do it. I fast every Monday and Thursday. And listen, when I fast, I tell you, like when I'm in fasting, I don't have a problem with wanting sex. I just don't. Like, you know, I go into a different mode. Maybe it's a me. I don't know if it's a me thing or if it's just in general when you fast, but I know that I don't feel horny. That's a funny word, horny. Like who came up with that word? But I don't feel horny when I'm fasting. You know, like the idea pops into my mind, but then I can dismiss it quite easily. It's like, oh yeah, I'm fasting, so that's a no-go. You know, just it's out because I honor, you know, I honor my own process. You know, I'm in communion with my Lord, and I'm sacrificing my flesh for the sake of my Lord. So that's it. Like, I'm sacrificing my flesh. I know what this is. When I'm fasting, I know what it is I'm doing, and I'm making a conscious decision to be in communion with my Lord all throughout my fast. And so I'm not going to denigrate. There's no way. There's no way. I mean, like, it might be like right after the fast. you know, it might be right after the fast. But during the fast, it's like, nah, you know, I don't mess with it. And so the reality is that it does abate the desire for sex. And so let's say you fast 1 day a week. If that doesn't do it, then fast 2 days a week. If that doesn't do it, fast 4 days a week. Like, think about it. During Ramadan, we're fasting every single day. So if you need to fast to abate your desire, and your desire is strong, the stronger your desire, the more you fast. If you're fasting 5 days a week, fast 5 days a week, brother. Listen, I'm not speaking in a vacuum. I've gone for years without having sex. Fasting works. Fasting works. Man, I can't tell you how long I could have gone. And I can't tell you that it was easy. But I can tell you fasting works. So, you know, before you venture into the mental space of, man, maybe I should do a no-strings nikah. No. We've got an answer from our Creator here. Fast. Sisters, you too. Your desires are real. And if they feel like they're too strong, if the urge is too strong, fast. Our Creator knows us. Fast. But let's take it further. So for those of you who say, okay, you know what, I've been looking for a spouse for such a long time and I can't just fast forever. Well, then you need to get married. Okay, hold on. But you say, well, I'm trying to get married. Let's go there. Let's go there. I've been looking for years, because here's the deal. You know, I was looking for years for my wife. Hi, sweetheart. It's our anniversary. Yeah. So, you know, I was looking for years. But the reality is that I wasn't really looking. Like, I was looking, you know, but I was passive in my search, and I was actively passive. I was active enough that I could fool myself and say, yeah, well, I'm looking. You know, I was on apps, and I was, you know, swiping and clicking and chitting and chatting. But I wasn't serious. I thought that I was serious, but I wasn't serious. I wasn't serious until I got serious. Like, if you're looking for a wife and you're a practicing Muslim, the first thing you have to do is be on your deen. You have to be on your deen if you're serious about finding your spouse. If you're serious about finding a serious spouse, if you want to find a sister who's on her deen, you've got to be on your deen. So are you on your deen? You who are looking for a wife, who's been looking for a wife for months or for years, are you on your deen? Are you praying 5 times a day? Not 4 times a day, 5 times a day. Are you praying 5 times a day? And when you're praying, are you focused in your prayers? Or are you just going through the motions? You know, like going through the motions like the Nikah, right? Like the no strings Nikah. That's going through the motions. You know, I want to do something haram, but I can't do something haram. I want to do something that's highly superficial, objectifying the woman objectifying the man just to have sex. Okay, on the surface, get the Nikah. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, go have sex. You know, when there's attachment is requested or required, I'm out of here. This is not what the Nikah is about, but this is a very surface level thing. So when you know, are you just going through the motions of your deen, or are you steeped in your deen? When you're praying, is your mind and your being focused on your prayer? Like, if you're looking for a spouse, you've got to be on your deen. Are you reading your Quran? Are you reading your Quran? You know, it's not about, you know, cross-checking off the boxes. Okay, pray 5 times a day. I fast during Ramadan. Like, that's not what this is. You know, if you're looking for your spouse and you're serious and you understand the value of having a wife, the value of having a practicing husband, you better be on your deen. Because, you know, when I was looking for a wife, I saw so many sisters who like on their profile, they say, well, you know, I'm a Muslimah and I'm looking to find a practicing brother so that he can lead me, so that I can, you know, be a better Muslimah, I can be better in my, like, no, you ain't waiting for nobody. Like, you could die tomorrow. You waiting for somebody else? Sister, if you're looking for a husband, you need to be on your deen. And you need to be seriously on your deen. Brothers, if you're looking for a wife, you must be on your deen. And if you're not on your deen, don't talk about, yeah, I've been looking for a while, brother. It's just, no, that's not looking. That's not looking. You're not serious if you're not on your deen. If you're not sitting down with the Quran, with the book of instruction, you know, the manual for our life that our Creator has sent for us, if you are not reading that on a regular, if not a daily basis, talking about, I'm looking for a wife and I'm serious, like, this is serious. That is serious. So before you look at any no strings Nikah, or even before you're looking at fasting, get on your deen. I mean, how are you going to expect to find a good wife if you're not on your deen? Okay, so let's say that you are on your deen. Okay, so we've passed that. You're praying 5 times a day. You know, you're reading your Quran. You're doing the essentials, right? You're fasting, paying zakat, you've done that. And now, okay, so we're good at that level. Next, okay, I'm still not married. I'm still looking. Fast. That's the next level. Fast. Fast as much as you need to fast to reduce your desire, to give yourself the shield, to protect yourself from the evil that lies within you. That's what it is. The desire is not evil, but the desire to go and have haram sex is evil. And that's within me. That's within me. That's within all of us. Brothers, it's within all of us. So how do you protect yourself from that? What's the shield? The shield is fasting. And if you haven't tried that, if you haven't said, well, you know what? Fasting 1 day doesn't work, fast 2. Fasting 2 doesn't work, fast 3. Fast 3 is not enough, fast 4. If you haven't done that and done that for a prolonged period of time, we're saying 3 months, 6 months. If you haven't tried that, then your mind shouldn't even be venturing anywhere near, you know, trying to find that no strings Nikah. Let me try that. No. Back up. Fast first. And fast as many days as you need to. Now, if you've done that and you fasted for 6 months, 6 days a week, or you fasted for 5 months, for 3 days a week, if you haven't taken your spirit to that level, you've got no business, you know, trying to find some other alternative solution. An alternative to what? Alternative to the solution that our Lord has given us and you're practicing? So there's no excuse to go there if you haven't done the work. Okay, we've got the problem, and we've also got a solution. You want to be married quickly? Get on your deen. Oh, the other thing, in addition to being on your deen, you can do is you can call me. I'm Cecil Howell. This is the Deen Diaries by the Men of Deen Marriage Agency. And if you're looking for a wife, if you are a practicing brother that is looking for a wife, I can help. Get in touch with me, heart.hunter at menofdeen.com. So now what? There's help, there's fasting, there's your deen. You don't have to worry about a no-strings nikah. Sisters, if you are practicing and looking for a husband, a practicing husband who is on his deen, get in touch with me. If you're feeling like, man, listen, my focus is to get you married within 12 months. I'm not wasting time because you got some needs you've got some urgent needs that need to be met. This is not free. It's a paid service, but I will work for you. I will work for you. I will do the searching that you don't have the time to do because you're busy working. I'll do it. There's no reason. If you brothers, if you're worried about the money and I don't have enough money to get married and I've talked about that. Go to my previous my previous lives, and I've gone into depth three different lives about the financial aspects of getting married. It's an illusion. We have the requirement to provide for our wives. No question about that. But there's a whole big illusion going about how much money you have to be able to do this. It's not what you think it is. But anyhow, go back and take a look at those. And we don't have any business in no strings nikah. That's a denigration to what nikah is and what marriage was created for. Okay? And that's my take. So if you have any questions or you have any comments, feel free to call in. I'll wait. Dun, 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 dun. All right, that's it for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.